Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Crypto Talks. My name is Phil. That's Rob. I did it right this time.
Well
And
done.
we're back with the TA Monday. And today, the market is actually moving quite significantly. The ETFs are up almost 7% on the day, say 6.5%. And Bitcoin is up 5%. So that's a good sign. You know, we were
Mhm.
kind of expecting, I was expecting a longer move sideways than we have had, but, it is what it is.
Is
And
what it is. Yeah.
I can't complain. You know what? I just realized something. I need to do a super, super quick thing here because nobody knows we're live. Because I forgot to share it in our Discord. Because I'm tired. And it's not working, so that's great. Is it working? It is working. Okay. How do I get shareable link? There we go. Finally. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna do this real quick.
Absolute professionalism, as always.
This is what happens when we kind of just have 3 minutes to prepare and then we just go.
Yeah,
And then we end
yeah.
up like
This
this.
is great.
All right, cool. Anyway, let's do some. We're just gonna talk about Bitcoin today because we got to get going right after this. We're just gonna do a quick one today, and so far, for everybody who's been watching us before, we got the same charts. I'm gonna turn the drawings on here, and we've had a breakout from this. We had a little bit of a bull flag like this. We were talking about this last time, that we were expecting Bitcoin to kind of move something like this for a while to reset this a little bit more, maybe down to there on the RSI. And it seems right now, at least, like we're breaking out of that little range that we had. And the only next real level of resistance that Bitcoin has is all the way back up at all-time high. The question is it going to go all that way when everything is this over extended? I don't know.
If you say you go back to October last year, November, that pump was quite meaty and lasted for a significant amount of time. And yeah, there's why not? Absolutely, why not?
Yeah, I would be very willing to agree, because we did actually top out. We had 5-6 weeks of something with slow uptrending moves, and maybe that's what we're going to see here. I mean, we did, I think that was one of our scenarios, right? We were talking about how we would see either the sideways move like that to reset everything, or we would see a retest of this top there, or we would see something like this right here. And I think we even did a bars pattern on that last stream to kind of show what that could look like, right? And maybe it was something like that. I think something like that.
Yeah, so at this point, this is one of those, we call this TA Monday, but we're both in agreement right now. The TA is sort of off the table. If there's just more buyers than sellers, it's going to keep going up. And on longer time frames, that's got a lot of room to go until we're in sort of bubble territory that we've seen in previous cycles. We're not there yet by any means. We are showing these sort of mid-cycle topping signs before the halving, but again, doesn't matter. If there's buyers, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. And obviously there is a lot of buyers now with the ETFs. There's a lot of buying pressure from that. And I did talk about how DCG was currently selling off a lot of their GPTC shares. And I haven't had time, unfortunately, today yet to look at what the sell pressure is looking like if DCG is still selling shares. And I think that's something we'll have to look at tomorrow or Wednesday when those numbers come in with a bit more, certainty. And it's I don't actually know why it's just suddenly done this pump. This is in the last couple hours. Just out of
and
nowhere.
this it could be as simple as something like somebody, one of these ETFs decided that, or as they're up by more, that they decided they need to go and grab a load of Bitcoin, and quite simply there wasn't enough on the market. And if they all decided to buy at a similar time, this might be the sort of thing we see coming up. That they just squeeze the market up when it's primed, because there's simply not enough Bitcoin to go around. So we need higher prices for that capital to be able to match the inflows.
Yeah, and I'll say this though, that candle right there, that's when the American market opened for the ETFs. So I'm assuming someone has decided just to buy a whole bunch.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to complain. I was not expecting it. Fortunately, I had started building along during this during this sideways moves here, so I'm happy. But again, I mean, what we're trying to do here with TA Monday is to give you a prediction of what we might see happen. And I mean, obviously, this is looking super vertical, which it is. And the question is this going to carry along with it enough momentum to kind of continue on upwards? Because like I said, the next real, like we got until this blue line right here, there's nothing above it. The last little glimmer of hope for the bears was these two tops right here, really, in my book, which was at 53 and 52. So 53 and 52, we were kind of stuck around there. These tops, I don't think matters that much, to be honest with you.
It's just it's a battle for all-time high now. There's
precisely
that entire zone is the intermediate boss. The new boss is somewhere up, but way higher above us. It's this is the first thing we need to get away from. Now, this cycle has been very different from last time, where we had a much higher percentage pump and then a big period of consolidation after that. This time we just had the big period of consolidation. So this, we keep mentioning it, this logical progression, this step up, move into a top of a range, test the bottom of it, move up again. There's no reason it can't continue if the market dynamics don't change.
Yeah, and exactly what you just said there. We go into a new range. So like when we find ranges, we always talk about the fib levels, or often we talk about the fib levels really often. And you can see it here because this is a fib level right here, and this is the golden pocket, these two here. And so what we've seen here, we broke through it, and then we started testing if that would hold, right? Then it broke that and tested the bottom of the golden pocket and came back up, and now it started pumping, right? And this was during the ETF launch right here, where it tested the top of that fib level as well. And now we're seeing the same thing again. We see this big pump through, or pump up above, and we sit there for a while, we test it. And now we can either go up, towards this type of move, maybe, or it wants to kind of go, no, actually, and scare people, right? We probably have a whole bunch of people going in with a bunch of longs here during this and destroying
those late longers.
Yeah, late longers.
Those late longers, they're the ones who push through and cause the short squeeze, and they themselves are then the ones who get caught out buying the tops when that short squeeze has happened, and all of a sudden there's not this influx of buyers anymore, and the people who are now in a big load of profit start to sell, and price goes straight back down. So at this point it's kind of clear. Start buying if it gets to sort of 53 and below. It's this is it now. This is until it changes, until it puts in some sort of reversal. Buy the dip aggressively, and buy the dip is the method that has proven to work over bull markets. The problem comes when these dips are too short and too shallow for you to really actually deploy any meaningful price and any meaningful capital, and you end up missing it.
I'll do this though. We had a question coming from Toki here. Where's the next level of pressure? I'm assuming you're talking about resistance, right? So since we're looking at an uptrend currently, well, not an uptrend, but we're looking at an upwards move, the only thing I can think of really here is, like I said, this fib level up here, but we can pull a shorter term fib from this peak right here down to this bottom, and then we see that we get at least something at around 56.8. That could potentially have a little bit of weight to it, in terms of kind of halting for a moment and then maybe moving down a little bit. I don't consider that to be something that is a major resistance at all, but that's something at least. Potentially you would put it on the candle closes on the daily, which makes sense when you look at this, because you see how it's gotten stuck there with the candle closes previously. So that's already happened, which means that the next, instead of 56.8, you would end up with the 62k resistance right here on the fibs, if you're going off the candle closes on the daily here. Both of those are likely to have at least some sort of weight behind them, but I don't really see them halting Bitcoin in its place and then pushing it down hard or anything like that. It's one of those step levels that we keep talking about, where we kind of find some kind of stoppage for a little bit, maybe move down for a couple of days, just like that right here, and then it just carries on as if nothing ever happened, sort of. I mean, that's a potential outcome.
This is it. We don't know how and when. I'm sure people are analyzing it, but we don't know how and when the ETFs are buying. So it may be, this is how they're going to buy, and they just push it up. And when they stop buying, well, there's the current local top. It comes back down and finds a range. So yes, if we know that there is going to be systematic buying of Bitcoin at any price, then every time you start to see Bitcoin, when it stops going down and starts going up, be wary of these kind of moves, especially if you are shorting. Make sure that short is covered. So I myself, I tried to short close to the long on this. I took some profit at the lows. It kept wicking down to the lows, so I was putting in profit and re-entering around 52k. But ultimately, I ended up getting stopped out on that and gave away most of my profit. And worst of all, I was previously leveraged long, which I then closed, and now I've missed that pump. So although I did a good short in doing so, I've ended up costing myself money on the long side. So it's you can very easily get caught out both sides. Anybody that thinks that turns around and goes, "Oh yeah, I predicted this exact move." No, you didn't, you lying bastard.
No, you didn't. No, I mean, as a general rule of thumb that I learned, so far I haven't been doing futures trading that much, doing longs and short, with leverage for very long. They basically just started as a competition between myself and Rob and Jay, one of our guys, and John as well, one of our other guys at Crypto Talks. And we just said, hey, let's do a competition. Let's put in X amount of money and just see where we end up at the end of the year, just for fun. And I just continued doing that and continue doing it. I've been doing really well, I have to say. And then, so a general rule of thumb for me is that if we are in an uptrend, and I don't think the uptrend is over, I will not short, no matter if it's like, okay, we're gonna dump, and maybe I'll make 60% on this dump. I don't short anyway, because every time I've tried to short when it's like this, in this type of market that we're looking at right now, with a pretty heavy uptrend in a bull market, me trying to short here, it ruins my profits every single time. So I just don't do it. But so John, Toki says, as a continuation of the previous question, he says, you're expecting to continue upward. Yes, because long story short, over the course of time, I can't see how long, but I'm expecting Bitcoin to test all-time highs again, right? I'm expecting Bitcoin to test this. And it's going to test that, and maybe it's going to break it, or maybe it's going to fail and retest the 50k level. We don't know that, but that would be a healthy correction if you're looking at it just from a technical standpoint. if Bitcoin were to go all the way up to retest all-time high and then take a breather and dump, maybe retest here again where we were stuck before and just broke out of, that makes sense too, because that's a 21% correction, which is something that we've seen basically every single time. This one right here, 21%. This one right here was 21%. This was 20%. This was 21%. So seeing Bitcoin go up to all-time highs, if it doesn't break through that with some serious power, because I'll tell you right now, if Bitcoin goes to all-time high and breaks out of it with like a tiny candle on the daily, that's not going to hold. I mean, if Bitcoin breaks its all-time high price, then we're suddenly in price discovery, right? Which means I don't expect a lot of people to say, oh, Bitcoin is at all-time high, I'm going to sell $1,000 above 68K. I'm going to sell it 71K. I don't see that happening, because when you're in price discovery, the psychology kicks in and everyone says, oh, we don't know. There's no resistance anywhere, right?
Yeah.
No actual, we talked about this the last stream where we said, looking at this fib level right here that we were talking about, the only way to really find something in price discovery is to take a long-term fib level like we have here, pull it through the whole bear market, and then see where the fib level tells you to go, which is, well, in this instance, it's 158K, but that's the only
that
place
might
you
give
can
you a
place a
range
line.
that is, and that's somewhere that's plus minus 10-20%, say, of where it might end up going.
Yeah.
So this is why people always talk about big even numbers, because clearly, where's the next logical resistance once it breaks the all-time high? Well, it's 80K.
Mm-hmm.
Then after that, it's 90K. Probably not really, because 90 nobody cares. It's 100K.
Yeah.
Like, we all know that there's going to be an absolute mammoth wall of resistance at $100,000. So, who's putting their orders between 70K and 100K? Not many people. Who's selling Bitcoin between that price? Not a lot of people. So once it goes, boom, it's going to go fast.
Just to give you a representation of that, or a visualization. Oh God, I tried to say it, okay? but just to visualize that, look, this green line right here, that's all-time high. This green line right here is 100K. If you're looking at this and you see a break out of this, are you going to sell here? No. Like, you have nothing between here and here. And if 100K was not just a psychological number of, 6 digits, if nobody cared about that, which people actually do, so there's going to be resistance there. And that was the previous prediction for the last bull market. People thought it was going to go to 100K. There is going to be sell pressure there. Psychological sell pressure. There is no technical sell pressure there at all. The next technical after all-time highs is going to be all the way up at 160K almost, which sounds ridiculous. But where do we put the line? Like, there's no lines to be put there. I mean, yes, we have this one, which is, kind of just a trend line, topping trend line. But that puts us at 250K, sort of. So, yeah.
Yeah, and at that point, so you've got what makes the TA at that point? It's price, whatever price numbers you can come up with through things like trend lines, fib extensions, big evens, and then it's oscillators, it's indicators, it's things like the RSI over, rolling over and saying, the momentum's exhausted. It's very difficult to trade that bear market, that bull market. Like, very, very difficult to trade, because at any point, every single time the indicator resets or looks like it's going to reset, oh no, off we go again, because there's nobody's got any sell orders in. These are the mechanics of bull markets, and it doesn't matter what asset you're looking at, they play out the same way every single time. And
for sure, and this is also why we keep telling people, you need to try to understand the psychological side of this stuff too. Like, what type of impact does something like 100K have on people? How many people do you think that's been holding Bitcoin for a decade, let's say, who decided back in the day, they were joking with their friends when they bought Bitcoin for $10. Oh, I'm going to sell it at 100,000 just because it sounds fun. How many of those people do you think are going to sell at 100,000? Probably a bunch, really. I mean, if you bought Bitcoin at $10, you probably have a good chunk of Bitcoin, right? you're probably not sitting on 0.2 Bitcoin. You're probably sitting on like a couple of dozen, maybe. I don't know.
I would hope so.
Yeah, I mean, would you sell at 100K if you had that? If you're, 100x in profit, 1,000x in profit?
Never. No, yeah, absolutely.
There's always going to be some sell pressure there. Yeah.
There's no secret. I'm not a lifelong hodler in terms of how I see things going. But yeah, it's more difficult to sell than not to sell is the simple fact. Yeah. And I think anybody who has sold Bitcoin in the last year and a half, and that goes for myself, there was some times it was necessary, but I had to take some off the table in, I think, the mid 30s to 40s. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh well, it wasn't perfect, but yeah, I had to get. I needed some money. Okay. As long as you're keeping the main of your bag, then yeah, Bitcoin that you bought below 20K that you're selling above 40, cool, good trade. Get on with it.
Yep.
Like,
for sure.
It's not the end. It's not the end of the world. It doesn't have to be an, oh my god, I need to never ever sell this. No, it's at the end of the day, it's an asset. It's something to be bought when it's cheap and sold when it's not cheap. Right now, Bitcoin is cheap. It's below its all-time high, coming into a wave of the biggest wave of buy pressure it's ever had. So why would you be selling Bitcoin when it's cheap?
Yeah, unless you're planning to trade
unless
it,
you need
right?
to. Yeah, but even then, if you're trading it, even when you're trading it, pick a direction. And sometimes the best trade is no trade at all, and that can be, I'm looking at this, and my trade is I'm going to hold Bitcoin for the next year. That is my trade. I don't have to sell next week or next month. If I'm looking at it and going, you know what, I'm going to ignore all of this noise and concentrate on the broader path, which is upwards, and my trade will be when that says otherwise.
Yep, agree. So okay, just zooming in just quickly before we finish this off, because I know we have to get going soon, but we're on the 4 hourly right now. Obviously, this is super vertical. We are breaking out of this bull flag. Yes. Target, all-time high, maybe, what did we say, 62K if you pull the fib on the candle closest on the daily, and 56.8 if you pull it on the wicks top and bottom. And yeah, that's really what we can say, honestly, because just looking at the RSI and the 4 hourly, it's already topped out again. It took this whole sideways move here to reset it. And like we said the last stream, the RSI, for example, and many other indicators, they will reset or come back to neutral by going sideways. It doesn't have to be down. And this is exactly what happened. Just like we said, sideways. Yes, it's up and down, but it's sideways. And then we're up. And it's gone up a little bit too fast for my liking, to be completely honest. But hourly, same thing.
The most annoying thing for me is because my plan was to close all of my short and then start to long. I was expecting a little drop just below 50,500 because that's something that happens very often with Bitcoin. You'll see it, it'll put a low in, it'll do it, and then it'll have one drive below it, stop out anybody who's got their stop loss going, I'm going to be a really smart technical trader and I'm going to place my stop loss just below this previous low. And then the market comes in, takes out your stop, gobbles up all the Bitcoin that you've just forcibly sold, and then pumps the market to high heaven. This time the market couldn't even wait for that drop. I really did think that drop was coming. I thought we'd have a little wick down to 50k. Maybe we still will. It's only 50k is only a 10% drop or less than 10% drop from here.
Yeah.
So it's not out of the question at all, but the behavior of this is not in any way bearish. This is a sign that this wants to go
a breakout.
a long way.
This is a breakout, yeah. I mean, the simplest way to look at this breakout is we take just kind of a general top here that we were fighting against, and we broke through it with a big candle, and then it just continued on. This is the nearest TA I can give you here. Looking, and I turn on the Bollinger Bands, by the way, because it tends to, things tend to bounce on the middle Bollinger Band, as you can see right here, for example, in an uptrend, right? So the Bollinger Bands work really well for that. So if you're seeing this breakout here, and then it wants to slow down, this midline, I don't know if you can see it that well, actually, now that I think of it, but I'll do it like that. This orange line here, the middle Bollinger Band, Bitcoin tends to bounce on that sometimes. Obviously here it doesn't care, but in the uptrend it tends to care. So, and that's turning up right now. So the next hour that's going to open, which is in 4 minutes, you're going to see this line come up a little bit, and then its next hour is going to come up a little bit. And this, I'm hoping to see that line kind of slow down and stop above this, because if Bitcoin wants to kind of do something like that and come down and retest this line, then the Bollinger Band, if that catches up, that's a little bit more strength. And this is very short term. We don't normally look at this, but I thought, why not, right? Looking at the daily every week, yeah, that gives you an update for the week. But what's going to happen in the next couple of hours, couldn't tell you. We've been stuck kind of here for now for a minute, 54.5-ish. Maybe it wants to sit here for a little bit,
Yeah, it may just flag. It's just who knows. Just enjoy it. Bitcoin's going up. Just enjoy it.
Yeah, here's a good example. It's a 5-minute scale with the Bollinger Bands that I was talking about. It tends to want to bounce on the Bollinger, and right now we're in an uptrend. Maybe it just wants to do this thing again for a couple of hours and then continue on. I mean, we'll see. But if you really want to see where it stops out, you gotta sit there and you gotta look at it. Unfortunately, I don't know what else to tell you. But yeah, I think that's everything we have for today, and we kind of do need to round off here. And this is our fastest TA Monday we've done in a while.
This is a very fast one. Do you know why it's been fast? I've not said much. It's been very mainly you today. Yeah.
Maybe that's it. I don't know.
Maybe that's it. It's just not me blah blah blahing.
So if you guys miss Rob's gobbledygob, leave an F or an R in the chat, and we'll get to it next week, and we'll talk more than ever. But yeah, we're going to round this up.
We leave an F in the chat for Rob.
F is
That's
for
your
fail.
Initial, you dumbass.
Oh, no, right. F is for fail. No.
Okay.
All right, I think it's time for us to go. So, okay, guys, thank you for watching. We'll see you hopefully tomorrow, if everything goes as we plan. And you know the deal. Like, subscribe, share this with everybody you have ever known, and tell them to buy Bitcoin. Fuck's sakes, we need more buy pressure. Let's go.
And subscribe to us and ask some questions. Just bring them all in. Everyone, we like chats.
Yeah, and join the Discord where we sit and do this, but not in front of a camera. Whatever. Yes, it's fun. We'll see you then.
We do it literally in front of the same camera.
Yeah, you're right.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Bye.